Hey guys, how's it going? So, I wanted to talk more about Oleksandr Usyk, and I wanted to talk about how he would fare up against most guys or most top level guys in the division because, there's a lot of questions surrounding him, right? Like, can he take a punch at heavyweight? Is he made for the division? Does he hit hard for the division? All that. And, I basically I wanted to talk about potential fights that he could be in against other heavyweights, right? I mean, obviously we talked about him fighting Anthony Joshua that's coming up, and I gave my thoughts on that, but I wanted to sort of expand um, that a bit more and look at how he would do against other guys. So I got a list of other heavyweights right here, and Um, I'm basically gonna go through the guys I think he would beat, then the guys I think he would have maybe a close matchup with, and then the guys who would most likely beat him. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so Daniel Dubois. Yeah, I think Usyk would pretty much stop him. To be honest, I like the thing with Daniel Dubois. Like he's a kid in this game. He's 20 something, right? I mean, he's nowhere near on Usyk's level in terms of boxing, right? Usyk is a lot more experienced, right? He's a lot more technical, right? Maybe he doesn't hit as hard as Dubois, right? And maybe Dubois could land a big shot on Usyk, but do I see that happening in a potential fight? Not really. I really don't think Dubois has anything that would threaten Usyk at all. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd probably go with Usyk by stoppage. Okay, Dominic Brazil. Yeah, same thing. I mean, Brazil, just like Dubois, he only has height, reach, weight, and maybe power over Usyk. Other than that, I mean, Brazil has never been known for being that great of a boxer, right? I mean, when Anthony Joshua beat him, I mean that wasn't Joshua's best win, right? Um, you know what I mean? Obviously, Joshua was the first guy to stop and beat Dominic Brazil, but I mean, other than that, like he's not that great of a boxer, right? He got knocked out by Wilder, right? He was just a stationary target for Deontay Wilder, and that allowed him to get knocked out. And then he recently got beat up by Otto Wallen, so I really don't see Brazil winning that fight if they were to fight. You know what I mean? Yeah, Usyk by stoppage, probably late stoppage, but yeah. Okay, Otto Wallen. Yeah, I mean, this one's a bit closer than the last two, but you know, the thing is, I don't think Usyk would stop Otto Wallen. I think he would just beat him by convincing decision, right? Um, but I don't think Otto Wallen's fighting style is anything that would be difficult for Usyk to figure out, right? I mean, they're both southpaws, right? Otto, he could fight at a long range, but I mean, that's pretty much it. I think Usyk would just outbox him for 12 rounds, and that's honestly how would see that going. So, yeah, Usyk by decision. Okay, Carlos Takam. Uh, I don't really need to talk a lot about this because, um, we saw a few days ago or a few weeks ago, who was it? Joe Joyce beat Carlos Takam, right? I mean, this guy's been stopped, numerous times. Got stopped by AJ, got stopped by Chisora, and then he recently got stopped by Joe Joyce. So I think if Joe Joyce would be able to stop Carlos Takam, I think Usyk would have no problem doing the same thing, maybe even in a better fashion. So yeah, okay. Andy Ruiz Jr. would get outboxed completely by Usyk. I mean, if someone like Anthony Joshua was able to outbox Usyk, or excuse me, was it Ruiz for 12 rounds, then it's like imagine what Usyk would do, right? Because Usyk is obviously better at outboxing his opponents than someone like Anthony Joshua was, right? So Yeah. I don't know if Usyk could stop Ruiz. I think it's possible, but Ruiz does have a good chin, so I would say Usyk just by a lopsided decision for sure. Okay, Dylan White. Yeah, Dylan White. He really doesn't have anything over Usyk, right? Except for body shots and that power in his left hook. But other than that, I think Usyk would not have that big of a problem figuring out Dylan White. The thing with Dylan White is, I don't know. I don't want to call him overrated because he does have, he is a good fighter, but I mean, his chin is not that great, if I'm honest. It's not, I wouldn't say it's maybe a glass chin, right? But, it's weaker than AJ's, in my opinion, right? And he's been down numerous times in his career, right? If not, he's been rocked as well. You know what I mean? He got knocked out by both Povetkin and Joshua. He gassed out and got knocked down by Joseph Parker. He got knocked down by Oscar Rivas, got stunned by Marzius Vak, right? Excuse me if I said that name wrong, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think that his chin doesn't really do him any favors, to be honest. And I think Usyk, he actually could get a stoppage on Dylan White, right? Um, probably in the later rounds, though, probably like rounds 10, 11, or 12. Um, so yeah, I think that's how I would see that fight going. Okay, so those are the guys I think that Usyk would beat, right? Um, Now onto the guys I think he would have a close matchup with. Luis Ortiz. The reason I say this one's close is because Ortiz does have that power that could, in both his hands that could give Usyk maybe some problems. Usyk is probably the better boxer out of the two, but Ortiz is not that far off, right? He has that Muhammad Ali like footwork, right? He's good at finding his range most of the time anyway. Um, I'd still favor Usyk just because of Ortiz's age. He's getting older. He's, not in his prime anymore. So I'd probably go with Usyk if they were to fight. Joseph Parker. Okay, so before the Derek Chisora fight, right, before Parker fought Chisora, I would say, yeah, Parker would beat him. But after watching the Chisora fight, and just sort of reflecting on, back on Parker's past fights, I'm starting to think that it's maybe closer than I would have thought. And the reason for that is because of Parker's defense. And, it's not like the worst defense, but the thing with Parker is he never really keeps his hands up. He always has them down, right? He moves in a linear line, right? Whether it's forward or backward, which is mostly backwards. And he does move his head from time to time, but it's kind of inconsistent, right? I would say he has better head movement than someone like Anthony Joshua, right? But it's not like significantly, I'd say. Another thing with Parker is that he's not like that aggressive, right? He is at times, but like with his defense or his head movement, he's inconsistent with his aggression, right? So he'll be aggressive for a few seconds, right? And then he'll just go back to moving backwards. So, yeah, also, the thing with that Chisora fight, I didn't think Chisora won. I just think it was, not. I think Parker could have done a lot more in that fight. I mean, I personally thought Parker won anyway. I thought he won 115 to 112. But, I don't know why people were saying it was a robbery. I mean, Chisora was hitting him with big shots and he got the knockdown. But other than that, I thought Parker did enough to win. And yeah, I think, but yeah, in this fight with Usyk, I don't know. It's hard to say. I really couldn't pick a winner. I mean, if you held a gun to my head and you said, like, who do you think is going to win? Like, who do I think is going to win? Then I would probably lean towards Usyk just because he has a few less weaknesses in him. But I mean, it's a tough one to pick. And if Usyk was to win, he'd probably win by decision, in my opinion. So yeah, that's how I'd see that one going. Okay, next up, Deontay Wilder. Um, the reason I say Deontay Wilder it's not like a close fight in terms of their boxing ability because Usyk is obviously better, but you know it's just the fact that Wilder could land that right hand, or Usyk could just outbox him for 12 rounds. I couldn't pick a winner in this one because the thing with Usyk is that he likes to back up a lot in his fights, right? And Wilder, once he has you backed up on the ropes, it's it's a lot easier for him to land that right hand, right? Despite him not knowing how to box, right? I mean, we all know Wilder's a one-trick pony, but I mean, he can pull that trick out of his pocket at any point and land that right hand. So, yeah, I honestly don't know who would win that fight. I would want Usyk to win, but I honestly have no idea. Okay, Tyson Fury. Okay, so normally I'd say Usyk would win, but the reason I'm not so confident making that prediction is just because of the fact that Tyson Fury just loves to hold and lean on his opponents a lot, right? If you go look at his past fights, he does it like a lot. He did it in the Klitschko fight, the Wilder fights, Chisora fights, the Nikolai Furla fight. A lot of them. He's also a dirty fighter, right? Like we know this, right? Whatever your thoughts are on Fury, he does fight dirty. Okay. And I think that would have an effect on Usyk. Because the thing is, Usyk's not known for being the strongest guy, right? I'm not saying he's the weakest heavyweight or cruiserweight, but he's not the strongest, right? So, Fury would make him feel uncomfortable for sure. So yeah, I mean, like if it weren't for the holding and leaning and all that stuff, I'd go with Usyk. I think Usyk is the better boxer between him and Fury. But yeah, I don't know. But with all that said, with the holding and stuff, it's a tough one. I'd probably go with Fury just because he would make Usyk like really uncomfortable, and he'd probably just get a decision win. To be honest, I think that would be a bit of a boring fight. It'd be just a lot of holding and stuff, but yeah, it's a close one. Okay, now onto the main guy I think would beat Oleksandr Usyk, right? Now the one guy I think would beat him, and you guys know this, is Anthony Joshua, right? You guys can call me a fanboy in the comments. I don't care, right? I think Anthony Joshua will beat Oleksandr Usyk, right? I think stylistically, he would give Usyk problems, right? Listen, he's got the strength over Usyk. He can make Usyk feel uncomfortable if they ever tie up or clinch up, right? He's got the power, does AJ. He's a lot, more precise with his punches than someone like Derek Chisora was, or is, right? He can fight on the outside and inside. So I just think if AJ is able to, walk Usyk down, bring the fight to him, unload his combinations and all that on Usyk, I think it's going to be a rough night for Usyk because, like I said, Usyk, he's not the strongest heavyweight, and he's not, he's a guy who's known for backing up a lot. You go look at his past fights, even the Chisora fight, Chisora was backing him up a lot at times. So, yeah, I got AJ in that fight. So, yeah. Overall, I think Usyk would do pretty good at heavyweight. Do I see him becoming champion? Not really, right? But I think he would beat most guys. And, yeah, that's how I see him at heavyweight. He would do good. And he still is a great boxer, and he's still the best at cruiserweight, in my opinion. So, yeah. Anyway, this video is going on for too long. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on Usyk, and yeah, it should be good. So, hope you guys have a good day. Take care and peace.